My DNA matched with a woman 49%, predicted parent, child. I looked at her profile, and she was born in 1991, meaning she would have been 15/16-ish when I was born. About 9 weeks ago, my maternal cousin and I both completed an ancestral DNA test through one of the popular brands. My parents are very against these DNA tests, I thought, because they don't like the idea of giving your DNA to these companies, and so have forbidden me from doing them in the past when I brought up the idea. Though, I now know the real reason they were against me doing it. My cousin, James, got his results first and matched with loads of people saying my mother's maiden name, as well as other names known within my mother's family line. I got my results about a week later, and not only did I not match with my cousin, I didn't match with any of my cousin's matches, nor did anyone share my mother's maiden name. My dad and I have an extremely common surname in my country, think Smith, and I did match with a few people who shared that name, but none were close matches, third to fourth cousins being the closest. So I'm just assuming it was because it's a common surname. James' family know he's done the DNA test, and he shared the results. However, I have asked him to keep what he knows about mine between us for a while. I learned this about 2 weeks ago, and have since come to the conclusion that I am adopted. At first this made me feel really upset, and I thought maybe the DNA tests were faulty, but after researching, no, I don't think they are. I think I am just adopted. I have 2 younger brothers who are 11 and 9 who aren't adopted because I remember my mom being pregnant with them. So I can't understand why I was adopted. I want to tell my parents no about being adopted. I want to in some ways confront them and ask why they've lied to me for so long. But I also want to say I still consider them my only family. James thinks it's a really bad idea. He says I should just keep it to myself because if I tell my parents I know I'm adopted, it could have negative consequences on my relationship with my parents, and also could get him into trouble with his parents because he bought me the DNA test, and he is very close to my parents. I've said I'll just tell them I bought the test myself, but he says they'll know because he got his test so recently. Wibda if I ignored my cousin and confronted my parents about me being adopted anyway? Relevant comments. Tynit71. I can't imagine what you must be going through, realizing that you may well be adopted through a DNA test. How old are you, OP? I think YWNBDA for asking your parents about this. I don't support confronting, but I'm an internet stranger, so? It would not be wrong to ask questions of your parents. This is likely to come out of the blue for them, so consider that. I'd encourage you to find a way to ask your parents from a place of curiosity, which might be less threatening to them than confronting them. Although I can't imagine how, it's possible there's a lot more to this story than you being adopted and never told. So, assuming you want to maintain a relationship with the only people you've known as parents all your life, start a conversation. You don't need to involve your cousin in this, but his role, if it is discovered, will pale in relationship to the real issues if you're adopted and only just found out this way. OP, I'm 18, but I still live with my parents part-time, and I live at uni halls the other time. Some parts of me want to confront them about it because I feel like they've lied to me. But I also know it is a bad idea, but I'm not sure I would be able to control my full emotions if I confront them about it because I feel almost betrayed by them. I do want to maintain a relationship with them, but I feel hurt that they've lied to me for so long. I still love them as my parents and only family. It's hard to explain what I feel, but I've kept it to myself for 2 weeks because I knew at that time I would have exploded at my parents. But I can't keep it to myself any longer and my emotions are less intense now. Dragaduval. Do you have any connections on your father's side? One of the theories that come to my mind was that your mom might have been abused or cheated and your dad might not know/knew but still loved you even then. OOP. It's possible that I have connections on my father's side. Very distant relatives who share our last name, but my last name is extremely common in our country and area, so I think that's probably why. OOP on his feelings regarding his parents not telling him about him being adopted earlier. OOP. The fact that they've hidden it hurts me more than just being adopted, if that is the case truly. They've hidden it, which makes it feel like a dirty secret. It makes me think that at least in some ways they consider adoption as less than real family. People are commenting saying they didn't tell you because they don't want you to feel less than family. But them not telling me shows me that they think adoption, less than real family. Update. I thought perhaps the test was faulty or wrong, but after some research I had my doubts that the test was faulty. But just in case, I decided to do a second test, with a different company, just in case the first one was somehow wrong. This time I bought 3 tests, one I gave to my paternal uncle. He's actually only a few years older than me despite being my uncle, and one I gave to my maternal cousin, and the last one I did myself. We sent them all off, and we got our results surprisingly quickly, about 10 days after we sent them off, yesterday night. But these tests confirmed my suspicions. I'm not related to my family. And even more, I matched with a woman, 49.8% DNA match, predicted parent/child. Looked on her profile, and she was born in 1991, meaning she would have been 15/16-ish when I was born. She hasn't been active on the app for over 6 months. I've written out messages to her to send and then deleted them. I've contemplated just saying hello, but haven't had the courage to actually send it off. I also could just turn off matches and make my profile invisible. That way she wouldn't see me if she logged back in again. I could pretend she doesn't exist and that I never found this out. I have another mom out there that I know nothing about. It makes me feel so anxiously curious. My parents never told me I was adopted. I feel utterly betrayed by them. I've resisted the urge to confront them about it since I got the results back from the first test. But now I know for certain, I just want to smash my fists into a wall. I want to scream at them. I hate that they've kept this from me for my entire life. Now the only people who know I know is my uncle and my cousin. I trust that they won't say anything to anyone until I've spoken to people about it. I feel so lost and confused. Should I message my biological mom? Or pretend she doesn't exist and turn my profile invisible from her? TLDR. Discovered I'm adopted via DNA kit. Matched with biological mom. Unsure whether to message or ignore. Feeling betrayed by adoptive parents. Uncertain about confronting them. Feeling lost and conflicted. Relevant comments. OOP on the possibility of his biological mother doing her own test and hoping he would reach out when he was of the legal age and sharing his profile with her. OOP. Yeah. I'm guessing that she did it with hopes that I would also do one day. I mean, that makes sense. Otherwise, you wouldn't have made your profile public. My biological mom would have also done the DNA test through this company. I don't know if she would have been notified or not, but I can turn off my profile. I've actually already done it because I want to know what I'm going to do before she sees my account and thinks this is an invitation to reach out to me. OOP on if his adoptive parents were not able to have children when he was adopted, and if he still resides at the family home with parents and siblings. OOP. My parents aren't infertile because I have younger siblings, and I remember my mom being pregnant with them. Yeah, I live mainly at uni halls. I'm not sure I could approach this to them in a level-headed way. I feel so hurt by them. I've been lied to my entire life. My whole self is not real. It's made me rethink everything. And I also feel guilty for being angry at them. I feel like such a mess. Update. Hey people. A lot has happened to me since my last post here. And before I start to explain, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who commented/replied to my OP. It was really helpful and I truly appreciate it. For full context, read the other posts on my profile which discuss this situation further. First things first, I decided to turn my profile private/invisible. I didn't want my biological mom, BM, to see that I had done a DNA test as an invitation to message me. I looked at her profile one last time and it still said, last online 6 months ago, or something like that. So she obviously doesn't check the app regularly. I wrote down information about her, first and last name, birth year, past family names, in case in the future I lose access to the account, or if I want to try to track her down and her account disappeared. Though I am hoping that if I do decide to have contact with her in the future, I will just be able to message her on the app. But just in case, I confronted my parents about what I had found out. There was a lot of crying, especially for my mom, but also for me. I told them how hurt I was that they never told me, and how much it has caused pain and anxiety to find this out on my own, and feeling like I was unable to ask them about it. They apologized to me. They explained to me that they wanted to tell me. They planned on doing it when I turned 8, but they couldn't go through with it because they didn't want to hurt me. They said every year they planned to tell me, and every year they put it off. They told me they did it out of love for me, but also out of anxiety that it would change our relationship for the worse. I explained to them that even if them telling me that I was adopted did hurt me as a child, I would have had them there to support me through it. And that now I had found out on my own and felt like I didn't have anyone there to understand what I was going through. They took responsibility for not telling me and for the hurt it caused when I was now. We hugged, we cried, and we forgave each other. Even though I don't agree with them not telling me, I can understand their feelings and why they found it so difficult when I was younger. After we had finished talking about it, they asked me what I wanted moving forward. If I wanted to tell my brothers that I was adopted or just carrying on like nothing happened. I said I no longer wanted it to be a secret and that I wanted them to tell my brothers what they should have told me. I didn't want it to seem like a dirty secret, but simply a fact of who I am and where I came from. I want it to be something celebrated, not feared to be talked about. I wasn't born into this family, but this is my family. And I feel so blessed that I was given the opportunity to become part of this family. I asked what they knew about my BM. They said not much. They know that she was in foster care when she fell pregnant with me, and that she would have only been 14/15 at the time. She decided she didn't want to keep me but didn't want to have a termination, and so I was put up for adoption, and that she requested no contact with me. I hope that the situation around my birth wasn't traumatic for her. I know this is a weird thought, but I hope she just got pregnant with me from another person her own age, and that I wasn't a product of any abuse. That makes me sad to think about. Sorry for the long post. Again, thank you all for the help and advice you all gave me. I appreciate everything. TLDR. Made profile private to avoid contact from biological mom. Confronted parents about adoption, led to tears and apologies. They planned to tell me but couldn't. Agreed to tell brothers. No longer want adoption to be a secret. Grateful for my family. Biological mom was in foster care. Gave me up for adoption at 14/15. Requested no contact. Hopeful for her well-being. Grateful for support and advice. Relevant comments. Planning to reach out to his biological mother? OOP? Yeah. I'm not sure I want contact with her just yet. However, I have kept her information in case I ever change my mind. I wouldn't say I'll ever rule it out completely, just not now I don't think. OOP on what he learned about his biological side via the tests, and if he is worried about how this might affect his biological mother. OOP, I'm a little afraid I won't have that impact on her. I worry that if I was born out of abuse, she'll see me as a trauma product. I want to think she did the DNA test because she wants me to contact her, but I don't know. Like I said in my post, it's weird to hope that my bio dad was a 14-year-old boy, but I really hope that my BD was another 14-year-old who was in a consenting and unabusive relationship with my BM. OOP on if he knew the reason why his parents chose to adopt him. OOP. They said they thought my mom couldn't have children, but then after they adopted me and stopped trying they had my brothers. They're 7 and 9 years younger than me, so quite a while after I was born. Update. Hi everyone. It's been a while since my last update and quite a lot has happened since the. I thought I would hop on and give a little update about my life now. Before anything, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who commented on my last posts and who helped me through such a hard time. It took me a while of processing everything, but I decided to reach out to my BM. I finally felt ready. I sent her a message. I kept it simple, introducing myself and saying I think I'm her bio son. I made it clear that I had no expectations of a relationship if she didn't want one. I was simply reaching out to know more about my origins. To my surprise, she responded less than 10 minutes later. She told me she had been hoping I would reach out and was waiting for me to do so. She told me she had never stopped thinking of me. She was indeed very young when she had me. She said that giving me up was the most difficult decision she's ever made. She thought it would provide me with a better life than she could have given me at the time. Hearing this from her, it was both heartbreaking and comforting. She seemed really regretful, but also glad that I reached out. We decided to meet in person a couple weeks ago. It was an emotional experience for both of us. She brought photos of her when she was pregnant with me, and Jesus, she was 14, but she didn't look older than 11. They were hard to look at. I learned that I have 2 half-brothers. They're only 5 and 7. I have met them and it's weird. They look like me when I was young. She said she had always hoped I had a good life and wondered what happened to me. I still think that I am still processing everything, even now. But since meeting her, I feel a sense of peace and closure that I haven't ever before. Comments. This is a great update, OP. You sound like a wonderful and grounded person. This is so much upheaval and it sounds like you're dealing with it well. I wish you all the best.